Hey everyone, welcome back to the Integrator Growth in 30. This is the podcast built for smart home pros who want real strategies fast. I'm Sean Cornwell and I'm here with my co-host and business partner, Lane McDowell.
Hey everyone, well, the second episode. If you've ever said, let's just run some Google ads and get more business, today's episode is especially for you.
Yeah, Google Ads can work, but a lot of integrators, it's the wrong place to kind of start. So today we're talking about why and what to do instead.
Yeah, and before we dive into that, I do just want to reiterate that there's tons of integrators, plenty of integrators out there that absolutely crush it with Google Ads. We have clients ourselves that do really well with Google Ads. Like as an example, David, Audio Tech Designs down in Boca Raton, gets something like 30 to 40 new leads every single month or something crazy like that. And I know a lot of integrators out there are going to be kind of skeptical, like, oh, that sounds like, that 30 to 40, those all can't be like, you know, new construction or remodeling type jobs. And they're not, some of them are a little bit smaller in the, $5,000 to $10,000 project range. But he also does get quite a few of those new construction type jobs. Or, how about that duo out in the San Francisco Bay Area that, completely dominated their market on like something like a $600 a month budget and ad spend, right? That's absolutely insane. So I do just want to reiterate that by no means are we knocking Google Ads. We just want you guys to have all the information to make the best decision possible. Because, we hear things on the flip side. Like last week, I was just talking to a guy in South Florida that, claimed, he only ever wanted to run Google Ads because, if he spent $10,000 a month, that he was guaranteed to get a project every month, right? And it's just kind of crazy to think about, right? Like how much more you could accomplish with something like a $10,000 a month marketing budget, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's some topics we're going to kind of cover, right? So just Google Ads in general, the auction-based system, like how you're bidding against local competitors, often with deeper pockets. We have some clients out in Texas, which is a very saturated market, where they're consistently just bidding higher and higher, trying to keep up. But the other companies are just bigger or have more of a budget, and they end up getting outbid. It's kind of crazy that way.
Yeah, it's just the way it works, right? Just the auction based system of it, just the nature of Google Ads. So it's something to keep in mind for sure.
Another thing that we're going to kind of talk about too is how most integrators don't have a strong landing page or a follow-up systems that capture the traffic they're paying for. Um, a lot of folks have this, base website that has their phone number on there, which is the number one thing you definitely want on your website, and maybe some services they're talking about, but they're not really um, driving traffic about certain subjects, maybe like Control 4 or lighting control, home theater, to a specific page that talks about those types of services that helps build that dream for the potential prospect to
Like
want
they
to build into.
Sorry to cut you off. I just like they don't have like a strong foundation and they just start running Google ads, right? And expect it to
Right. They're
kind of
looking they're looking for people to start ringing the phone. Basically, they think they can spend money and immediately get the phone to ring. And unfortunately, it's not the '90s anymore, where that used to be the case.
right. Yeah,
Um,
or like the early 2000s where like all you had to do was put a little money in Google ads and you got tons of business, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
Just
Google Ads and
that way
Yelp,
into
and you just built a empire. It's
yeah,
those days
yeah.
are gone.
Yep,
Um,
unfortunately.
you know, I think the best thing to kind of really talk about or really kind of put it out there is like without a strategy, it's like lighting your budget on fire, right? You're just burning money away. And Google favors established accounts. So if you're just starting up a Google Ads account without any historical data, and that could be your Google business page, that could be SEO, or any really like traffic that is being monitored. You have like analytics, Google Tag Manager installed, the Search Console synced up to your site. All that creates historic data for Google to use. And the more of that you have, the better Google will work for you. And without that kind of strategy in place, you're really, like I said before, you're just burning your ad dollars into nothing.
Yeah, it's all about having that plan, right? It's I think the main takeaway we want from this, you guys to take away from this, is that it's just too often we see integrators spending thousands of dollars a month with no any sort of tracking, no sort of retargeting, no foundation in place, and really no real plan. It's really just kind of like they're just throwing mud at a wall and hoping something sticks. And then they sit back after a month or two of running Google Ads, and then they wonder, well, why didn't this work? This must just not work for anybody. It's kind of like, that sort of strategy or tactic. It's just like, running ads without a plan is like putting up a billboard in the desert, right?
Yeah, and we're not talking about Las Vegas or some
Yeah,
desert
right.
along road that everyone travels down. We're talking
Yeah,
about
the
the
Sahara.
Sahara.
Yeah.
Well, so let's ask some questions before let's think about some questions we need to ask before we start running ads, right? So here's a little bit of a checklist. Is your website optimized to convert visitors into leads? Lane, like what does that mean to you when I'm asking if I was to ask you that?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is, do you have a clear call to action on your website? Is there somewhere for some action for the visitor to do, whether it's like schedule a consultation or call you? Is that made really clear on your website? And the next, thing is like, do you show your work, right? Um, where's your work shown if it is on your website? Is it hidden, buried in like, several pages deep, or is it front and center to where it's important where the person that's visiting is going to see it, right?
Right.
And then, what trust signals are you giving the visitor, right? Like, why should they trust anything you're saying, right? What kind of social proof is there? Do you have any case studies? Do you have any testimonials, right? Uh, Person that's in the research phase is coming to visit your website because maybe somebody told them about you, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go check this out, right? And they come and see, well, like, okay, well, they have a website that tells maybe about us, what they do, the services we offer, but how can I trust these people, right? I don't see any of their work. I don't see anybody else talking about them, right? So those are the kind of the at least the initial key things that come to mind um, for optimization when talking about converting.
Yeah, and it just kind of like expand upon that. Like the generation now that's coming into wealth is building their homesteads. They have a little bit of extra money, I guess, to spend on some of these smart home integrations. Are the millennials and the Gen X, not Gen X, but the yeah, it is Gen X, not Gen Z, Gen X. So a lot of times these two generations spend their time researching and delving into a company. Millennials more so actually look for certain things that they can relate with a company to feel good about purchasing. It's really
Yeah.
hard for a lot of us to kind of let go of thousands of dollars without fully understanding where that thousands of dollars is going to, from service quality. Have they done this before? Are they actually professionals, or are they just Joe Blow working out of his garage, just kind of getting things spun up?
Yeah, and one more thing to touch on there is that everybody is just so used to social proof now, right? Like even going to
Mhm.
Amazon and like what's one of the first things you do when you see a product that you're interested in, right? You go
How many
look at the
reviews?
reviews, right?
And then look at the reviews. For sure,
And
yes.
yeah, and that's no different with anything these days, right? Like smart home automation is not an exception to that.
True. And just a little fun little thing here, but anytime I'm gonna get something that's like over a couple $100 on Amazon, and I'm like, "Hey, Kaylin," that's my wife's name, everybody. Um, this is what I'm looking to grab. The first thing she always asks, "What does the review say?" So keep that in mind.
Right, yeah,
All right,
especially
go ahead, buddy. Sorry about that.
yeah, I was gonna say I think that's kind of especially uh you know, something that women are akin to is checking out the reviews for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're all about protecting their investments. So, I guess the next question we should ask, or that you should ask yourself, really, when you're actually thinking about, um, is it time to run ads? Do you have a lead follow up process? And I know Lane's going to probably talk more to this, but some of the quick things is like a CRM. Do you have email text automation, manual outreach process, or a plan? And these are key. And, I mean, how many, Lane, like just off the top of your head, like how many clients have we came across in the past that didn't have a CRM, which is pretty much why we give them a CRM for free now.
A lot of them. I would say a majority of even just the people we talk to. Some of them do have a CRM, but the capabilities are very lacking, right? For especially on the marketing side of things. And something to point out too, right, is like integrators are busy. They're busy people. They don't always have time to answer the phone, especially if you don't have like a front desk person, right? So say that you're running Google Ads and a lead uh, signs out your contact form or wants to schedule a call with you and puts their information in. If you don't have time to get to that lead, or maybe you just didn't see the information, what are you doing to stay in front of that person, right? And even if you did have time to talk to the lead and maybe it just didn't work out for them, maybe they decided to go a different direction or the proposal just didn't work out. Well, you have that person's information from the form they filled out, right, through the Google Ads. What are you doing to stay in front of that person, and that comes with like email marketing automation, texting automation, all that sort of stuff. So that stuff should be just kind of built into your Google Ads plan to stay in front of those people.
We live in a very like instant gratification society these days, and we're used to 2 day shipping from Amazon, or um, when we fill out something on a website with a chat bot, like we're looking for that conversation within the next 5 minutes to kind of get more information. Um, or just straight up calling a company and getting in touch with somebody that's knowledgeable enough to educate you on what you're looking to learn about, right? So anybody who takes the time to give you their information, they're probably going to be looking to have a conversation with someone from your company within the hour. And the best way to shortcut that when you don't have the manpower or maybe even the budget to hire people to kind of maintain that conversation or that customer service level is building out some automation to keep you in front of people. And you can do that through SMS or email like Lane was talking about. And a lot of CRMs have these sales pipelines, have these tools built into it. And it's the number one reason why we give all our clients access to our CRM as their own sub account so they can actually, we set all this up for them. That way that they're not losing out on valuable prospects. That one person who's going to be willing to spend $100,000 with you on a big project is going to be talking to other people. And the first person to talk to them is going to have their heartstrings. So that's, in my opinion, very, very important, especially if you're going to be dropping big dollars on Google Ads.
Yeah, yeah. What are a couple good CRMs that we could lead people to? I know we use High Level here, right?
Yeah,
What are some other ones that people should look into and check out?
Go High Level is a great one if you're on a budget. It is cost effective, and a lot of times you can get into it for $97 a month. HubSpot is a very robust one, and it's modularized, so you're going to pay for what you want to play with. You can get into that fairly expensive. Some people use Salesforce. I know Salesforce just gave away their marketing module for free now. It's now part
Oh,
of
really?
the Salesforce side. It is.
Interesting.
But Salesforce is out of the box, not really, if you're not comfortable with customizing how your Salesforce works, you're going to have to put some time into it or hire a consulting firm outside to kind of get that built out for you. And there's some other ones out there. I forget one of them. One of our clients was using it before they swapped over to using High Level, the
Oh,
one that we provide.
Fresh Desk, was that it?
No, I think that's more of a ticketing system, but it
Oh,
was
yeah, okay.
started with an F. But
Well,
I
that's
think it's like
okay.
$47 a month, and it just is a sales pipeline. Doesn't really have the email marketing capabilities and some automation pieces. But um, always when you're looking for a CRM, you definitely need a sales pipeline so you have your list and you can build your customer list, which is invaluable. But you do need some automation in there. That just helps you prolong needing to hire somebody later on. Oh, well, now versus later on as you kind of grow. It kind of gives you um that runway to give you some time for liftoff.
So it sounds like the two CRMs you'd recommend are Go High Level and HubSpot, right? This seem to be kind of the two big ones, two big players.
I would say so. For affordability, even HubSpot, it's not too bad. You're probably going to spend, you know, $300-400 a month for it, but you get a lot more robust capabilities out of it than what High Level would provide,
Yeah.
including
Okay.
some integrations into your site.
Well, let's move on because I think we're getting a little too deep into
Yeah,
CRMs.
we are. Yeah.
this is this is not
So
the CRM episode, right?
we'll make these next two questions you need to ask kind of like short and sweet. But like, do you know what type of projects you're targeting with ads? Right. You can't just kind of stuff everything into one ad, right? You're not going to say, okay, I want to run this one single Google ad and get people in for home theater and lighting control and outdoor lighting and audio and video and et cetera, because you can't. Well, the best way to put it is like if you're speaking to everybody, you're not speaking to anybody, right? Some
Yeah,
people are out there searching for something. You need to speak to those people specifically.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's so much harder to control, right? Like if you have like all of your services under one, nested under one Google ad, it's so much more difficult to control and even improve, right? And figure out, if
What's
you're
working,
not
what's
getting
not
leads,
working.
exactly what's working and what's not working, exactly.
Yep.
So you definitely want to segment those up. Um, and then also it's important too, right, to focus on, you know, what type of jobs are you trying to get, right? Like, is it, is your business mainly focused on new construction, or do you also, focus on upgrades or even service calls, right? You have to understand what your target market is right before you just go and run Google ads. Because I can tell you now, if you are one of those integrators that only focus on new construction, you're going to want to, you know, be really careful with Google ads because you're going to get fewer jobs than most other integrators that kind of have a wider spectrum of services that they offer.
Right. The best way to think about it is the more expensive a project is for the customer, the more you're going to spend on ads to get that kind of client.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So last question, can you test small before scaling, right? Um, Geo targeting, like focusing on certain zip codes, neighborhoods, certain keywords. And then kind of allows you to kind of have a budget control, right? So we do this a lot when we're getting a client started on Google Ads. We'll start something with like a $500 budget to kind of test the waters in certain areas and find out like if we're getting any kind of like conversion from a certain zip code or an area neighborhood, and then we up the budget from there. But if you don't have that capability, then you're just, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for? You're just throwing, you're shooting the shotgun, a buckshot out and hoping something gets clipped. So that really helps you fine tune and um,
Yeah, absolutely.
sniper
Yeah,
in basically. Yeah.
absolutely.
So if you can't confidently answer yes to most of these, this it's a safe thing to say. Don't start with Google Ads. There's a better place to focus first. So um, we do have some actionable alternatives for you to kind of like think
Yeah.
about.
Yep. Yeah, so if you don't wanna run Google Ads or you're unsure and you couldn't answer yes to most of the questions we let earlier, then some of these things might just be for you. And one of these things we'll get to has proven to be one of the best ways to grow a home automation business.
What do you want to lead into that one, Lane?
We'll save that one for the end, and that's the partnership building one.
Okay.
So why don't you kick us off with let's talk a little bit.
Local SEO.
Yeah, talk a little bit about local SEO and the GBP and what all that is.
So I like to call this the foundation. Once you have your site up and everything's good, it's built for conversion. You got all your CTAs out there, your social proof, everything's kind of looking good. Local SEO and Google Business Profiler is going to be your foundation of conversions. So the Google Business Profile really allows you to build reviews and yeah, you can post regularly on almost like a social media, right? You can post your jobs, pictures of your staff, so people can see friendly faces, smiling and doing the work and stuff like that. And then you can also rank for certain keywords like Control 4, which could be hard in your area based off of how well Control 4 is doing in that area. Um, but home audio, home theater, in your area without paying for the clicks. It is free traffic based off of how you optimize certain pages in that area. So it's a great place to get started once you got everything else kind of squared away on the website.
And that kind of the local SEO and the Google Business Profile that kind of ties into the three pack, right?
Hmm.
And just want to quickly mention a little stat about the three pack. If you don't know what it is, it's also called a couple of different things like the local map pack and but if you go out to Google and search for a business, like for example, like hey, you're looking for taco trucks near me or something, right? Maybe it's lunchtime and you're getting hungry. When you search for that, the first three or sometimes it's four now, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the first three businesses that pop up, they'll have the business name, like their number of stars and how many reviews there is, right? And there's like a little map box next to it, right? That's called the three pack, is what we call it, or the local map pack. Google reports that's where roughly 60 to 70% of conversions come from nowadays. And
Yeah.
they've caught on to that and they started putting sponsored placements in that now because it works so well. So it just goes to show the power of local SEO and your Google business profile. You guys don't want to ignore this stuff.
True. True. And then we talked about this earlier. CRM and nurturing system is another actual alternative that you can kind of get into. This allows any traffic that you got going on to be able to remarket to those folks, right? Um, if you have previous clients and you have that client list, that is a gold mine. A lot of people don't realize they have. You can basically email seasonally past clients based off of like what's popular. Like it's coming up to season, it's coming up to spring and summertime as of now, and you would want to be talking about outdoor smart equipment, getting that outdoor TV, really enriching their outdoor kitchen area they might have with sound, um, maybe some really good lighting for the night parties they might be having, that kind of stuff, right? And then, of course, Christmas is really home theater season because usually the wife is trying to surprise her husband with a man cave for his Denver Broncos team and having this awesome home theater set up for him. So, like, those are cool little ways you can kind of take on or get new work from existing clients that you've already had. Elaine, do you have any more things you can think about that I didn't really touch on?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. What I want to talk about next is kind of what I hinted at earlier, which is partnership building, right? This is one of the best and most efficient and fastest ways to grow a residential integration business, and even, in some cases commercial too, right? It's all
Hmm.
about building those partnerships with, one trades that we really love to integrate us to work with is interior designers, right? Architects, and even, in some cases, custom home builders. If you can build strong relationships with those types of people, you're just going to get tons of work your way. They're just going to feed you work, but it takes a little doing, right? You can't just call them up and say, "Hey, send some projects my way." You gotta spend the little time to build a relationship, build the trust, right, and the authority, right. You want to be their go to expert in these sort of things, and there's a lot that goes with it. I don't want to get it into it too much this episode because you know we could save that for another episode down the road, but a simple, simple task to get started in this is just start by making a list of 10 local designers or architects or builders you'd love to work with, and just reach out with something that stands out, like a handwritten note. And after you've sent that, follow up with a brief phone call, right? This
Yeah.
You're just setting the stage to get to know the person, right? We're not here to hard sell them at first, right? And that's the best first step you can take in building these relationships and partnerships.
One of the things I think about when you said being their go-to expert, I always think of Rick from Pawn Stars, where and anytime he gets something kind of unique in, he's like, I got a guy for that to kind of evaluate to see if this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
real. And that's who we want
absolutely,
to be.
right,
We want to be that
right.
guy that they got. So
Absolutely, yep.
well, the last little thing is social proof and content. We talked a good bit about this, but having photos that you can share, client feedback that you've gotten, testimonials, maybe some like organic credibility that you might have in place, those will go a long way, right? Even if you're a newer company and you got five or six, projects under your belt and you got maybe two or three reviews, that's going to look really good, especially if they're 4 or 5 star reviews, speaking highly of, the service that you provided, like how well and professional you guys are, how excited they were after the project was done, and how they love utilizing the technology that you put in place. And really just providing some photos of those projects from the testimonials. So obviously you can't put the photos up on Google reviews, but like once you have those on your website, you can throw a project picture underneath it to showcase what you did, and even turn it into like a case study like page where it shows the full work, the project, what they chose to do, and how you implemented it. It's a really, really strong, effective way to get people to call you up.
Yeah, and you don't have to have like a big, huge, crazy budget for this, right? Like sometimes, and I think we've talked about this before, you can just, stand in front of a customer with your mobile phone, like your iPhone or whatever, and just shoot a quick little video, right? Just asking them about their experience and how
Mhm.
everything was, what it was like to work with you, how they felt after they were done, all that good stuff. Put that up on
It,
your website, put it up on social media, right? Share that kind of raw experience with somebody else, because that feels a little even more authentic, right? It could be even more powerful than bringing camera crews in and spending all this money on, the right lighting and stuff, right? Those, kind of raw videos like that can be very impactful as well.
For sure. People want to buy from people and not businesses. So if you look like a person that's a good buddy eventually down the road, you're going to have a lot of clients and over a long period of time.
Absolutely.
So let's do a quick recap because I know we're probably coming up on time here. Google Ads aren't evil; they're just not where you should start without a plan. So we need to, focus first on your website, partnerships, follow up systems, and local SEO. Those are huge little pieces, right? And then just take 15 minutes this week and review your Google business profile. If you don't have one, get one started. If you don't know how to get one started, give us a call, reach out. Our site is cwellmarketing.com, CWELL marketing.com. We'll definitely consult with you, kind of lead you the right direction and help you get there. So ask yourself today, is it up to date? Have you posted anything on there recently? And can you ask one client for a review?
Yeah, absolutely. It's these simple little things just they add up over time, right? Until you kind of built this organic marketing machine, right?
Yep, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us for the Integrator Growth in 30. Um, Appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to doing more of these with you guys down the line. And again, if you ever need any help, we're at cwellmarketing.com. You can book a consult right there. If you're struggling to figure out what the next move is.
Thanks for joining, everyone.